basically what that means is that how you fuel your body can dramatically affect and impact your sports performance or exercise performance. You can be a fantastic athlete, but if you don't eat well for your sport, you're not going to perform at your best, and the same thing vice versa. So nutrition is very important. I worked with a sports medicine doctor. He was actually, at the time, he was a sports medicine doctor for the Phoenix Suns. And he said to me, he said that nutrition is about 90% of the piece of the puzzle for athletes. And I thought that was pretty cool for like a medical doctor, like telling me that, and it's awesome. So it really is important. And now we're seeing more colleges, professional sports teams integrating more of that nutrition piece into their programs, which is nice. I know here we have a dietitian. I think most schools of this size will probably have like 10 dietitians that work with the athletic department because it is so important. So this is kind of funny. When I work with the Cardinals and a lot of the different sports teams, I usually go in during their lunch or breakfast or dinner, and it's funny how when I'm there, initially what will happen is that they'll kind of like hide their plates or walk away. And it's not that me being a sports dietitian, it's not that I'm there to tell you what not to eat, but what to eat more of. So really there is no good or bad food, just all foods in moderation, eating balanced meals and snacks. The different benefits of sports nutrition, there's tons of benefits. If you're going to fuel right, eat right, you're going to have a lot more energy. Anybody ever like cut carbohydrates, and do you feel like a certain effect by doing so, like no energy, headaches? Well, we need carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the body's primary fuel source, or the brain's primary fuel source. So we need those carbohydrates. Also, you're going to have improved sports and athletic performance if you're going to fuel right for your exercise or your sport. You're going to also have improved recovery time from workouts, practice, and competition, especially if you're working out every day, or some athletes work out twice a day. It's so important that you're eating well that day, the day before, that day, and the day after. You're also going to get sick less, and you're going to have less soreness. I've got one athlete right now that I'm working with, and he just thinks all carbohydrates are awful, and he complains how he has no energy, how he's sore all the time. Well, you need those carbohydrates. They're very important for your diet. You're also going to have an improved quality of life, ultimately. Decreased risk of injury, improved sleep, increased speed and strength, improved body composition. So I had one athlete, actually, he was working with the Brewers, and he was a minor league player. And he always struggled with his weight. So he would leave during the off season, gain a bunch of weight, coming back once preseason started, always would put on like 10, 15, maybe 20 extra pounds. And so he would have a big breakfast, a big lunch, a big dinner, and not have anything in between. So if we cut our portions down, or for him at least, cutting portions down, having small snacks in between, very beneficial for him. Because by doing so, that will help keep your metabolism up as well, prevent you from overeating at your next meal, and ultimately for him, it did help him drop excess body fat, and also improve or increase lean body mass, and also improve memory and mood. Carbohydrates are so important because they help the body produce serotonin, which is that feel-good hormone. So again, carbohydrates are really good, and an overall balanced diet for carbohydrates, proteins, and fats will definitely help boost your mood and memory. So there's 3 different sports nutrition goals when you think of when you're fueling for your sport or for your exercise. So the first one is you want to maximize your performance and recovery. So a lot of times when I work with athletes, I always stress performance and recovery. Those are 2 keys when you're working out and training. Second one is you want to maintain adequate hydration, because if you are the slightly dehydrated, that can dramatically affect your sports performance or exercise performance. And then also decrease your risk of illness and injury, especially if you all work out every day or twice a day. You want to prevent that, getting sick and injured especially too. And this is all achieved through being consistent with your training program, with your eating program, planning ahead. You're all students, right? So busy, right? You work, you go to school, you go to study. So planning ahead is very important. I always encourage people to grab a bunch of snacks to put in your bag for the day in case you're out and about and you're going from class to class. And then timing too. Timing is very important when you're working out in terms of like what you're going to be eating. So post workout, if you do exercise every day, I do encourage that you eat. Optimally would be within like 30 minutes post workout, but just making sure that you're eating well throughout the day. Are you all pretty good about doing that?
Oh.
Okay. No, it's okay. After today, you will be. These are 6 keys to optimally drive nutrition performance. So all of these 6 points are very important for helping you perform at your best when it comes to nutrition. The first one is hydration. Hydration is very important. Staying well hydrated with water. Sports drinks, really only when you're exercising is when they should be used, or post-workout. I know when I see some of my youth athletes drink Gatorade with their lunch, that is not why we're supposed to drink electrolyte sports drinks. And I'll talk more about that coming out later. But hydration, very important. We need about a half to 1 ounce of fluid or water per pound of body weight. Having a balanced and varied diet, also very important. Anybody in here have the same foods for every breakfast, lunch, and dinner in here? You guys like to mix, a couple of you, okay. Which I think is okay for one meal, but for all your meals and snacks, or all your other meals and snacks, you want to get a good variety in. If you eat the same things all the time, you're going to miss out on getting a good variety of vitamins and minerals, antioxidants. So trying to mix things up. And also our bodies like to be challenged, so to keep that metabolism going, you want to mix things up, have different meals and snacks. Energy intake is also very important, so calorie intake. If you're trying to maintain your weight, you want to hit the target amount of calories. If you're trying to lose weight, you need to consume less and exercise a little bit more. If you're trying to gain weight, then you want to eat more as well. So energy intake is very important. Nutrient timing, also very important. So post-workout, for example, you want to go for a carbohydrate-protein mix. Roughly about a 2-to-1 to 3-to-1 ratio of carbohydrates to protein, and I'll show you what those examples are coming up. Meal frequency is also very important. I always tell my athletes and people that like to exercise to fuel with 3 balanced meals a day, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then 2 to 4 snacks. You're all very active, I'm sure you're all students, you like to exercise. So eating roughly every 2.5 to 3 hours is what we should be doing. And then supplements. Those are also important, but we want to build that healthy foundation with whole foods first. And then also making sure that if you play a sport, I always encourage going for that NSF certified for sport. I know when I worked a lot in the with professional teams, that was very important because the NSF certified for sport label basically will guarantee that athlete that supplement that they're taking is free of banned substances. So very important. For you all, for supplements, I'll talk more about which ones I think are beneficial. One story though that I had for supplements, there was an athlete that I worked with, and he just graduated from college. He was a wrestler in college, and he was trying to gain weight. And he didn't know why he wasn't gaining weight. And so I told him, okay, what I typically tell my clients is to keep a 3-day food log and then bring in whatever supplements that you're taking. So he comes in and meets with me, and he brings in two huge duffel bags of stuff. And I'm thinking maybe he just worked out, right? So he sits down in front of me, and he's taking out all of his supplements, and tons of supplements. And then I read his food journal, and breakfast was 6 egg whites, lunch was chicken and some vegetables. And he's wondering why he can't gain weight. Well, if you're not eating enough, eating the right types of foods, you're not gonna gain weight. Supplements aren't gonna do that for you. So really you wanna build that healthy foundation with whole foods first. So the way that I like to educate my athletes and people that are very active with exercise is to keep it as simple as possible. So if you had a plate in front of you, I want you to think of dividing your plate into thirds, or steps. So each step has its own purpose. And again, thinking about performance and recovery when you're portioning up your plate. So step 1 are going to be all of our fresh produce and healthy fats. So fresh produce, lots of fruits and vegetables. The more color on your plate, the more vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that you're going to be consuming. And then healthy fats. You all know healthy fats and not so healthy fats? Okay. So all the healthy fats are going to be all the unsaturated fats. So those fats mostly from plant oils, vegetable oils, so nuts, seeds, avocado, olive oil, oil-based salad dressings like Italian dressing. And all this step one are loaded with natural antioxidants and natural anti-inflammatories. So they're going to help you stay healthy. They're going to help decrease your risk of getting sick, injured. They're also going to optimize your immune system, increase your energy, because you need all those vitamins and minerals to help your body then break down the carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And then also it helps speed your recovery time up to help you prepare then for your next exercise.
You also include starchy vegetables in this serving?
Not this one.
Okay.
No. Oh, starchy vegetables you said?
Starchy vegetables.
No. That's actually next. Very good. So all these vegetables are going to be all your non-starchy vegetables. So your starchy vegetables, starchy vegetables, what do you guys know what they are?
Potatoes, carrots.
Carrots are actually non-starchy. You have to eat like pounds and pounds of carrot to make them starchy. Yeah. So that's a myth. Carrots are not starchy. But all the non-starchy ones would be all of your like leafy green vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, peppers, radishes. Where your starchy vegetables are your corn, peas, potato, winter squash, butternut squash. Yeah, that's the majority of your starchy vegetables then. So fats, all these on the left side are anti-inflammatory, so they're going to help fight inflammation and then keep you healthy. The pro-inflammatories, when you eat too much of them, can actually cause more inflammation. So all the good guys, you want to eat more of these. So these are all your nuts, seeds, oils, natural peanut butter. When you're looking on the back of a food label for peanut butter, all you really should see is peanuts and maybe salt. If it says like reduced fat peanut butter, I mean, if they're going to take out the fat, they're going to put in sugar and salt and other preservatives and fillers. So it should just be peanuts and maybe salt. Avocados, guacamole, all that's good fats. Trans fat-free margarine spreads, mayonnaise going to reduce fat, omega-3 rich salmon and tuna, flax seeds, walnuts. All the last three are all rich in essential fatty acids. So we need those. Our bodies can't make those, so we need to get them from outside food sources. The not so good ones are all of our saturated fats. But some of them are fine to have, like butter. If you want butter, have butter. Just don't put, if you're having a potato, don't put like your potato in butter, put butter on your potato. Think about my father, because my father was loads of butter on his potato, and I'm like, that's a piece of purpose. But all the trans fats, probably the worst types of fats. Do you all know trans fats? So on the food label, it'll say partially hydrogenated, then whatever kind of oil. A lot of food companies now have revamped their recipes to get rid of all these trans fats because there's so much research out there now and media about how trans fats are terrible for us. They increase our lousy LDL cholesterol and lower our healthy HDL cholesterol. A food product can actually say that it's trans fat free if it has less than 0.5 grams per serving. And how many servings do we normally eat? More than one, right? So we're getting in those trans fats. Sour cream, bacon, sausage, full fat dairy products, processed meat. So just moderate those, but especially all of the trans fats, you want to eliminate those from your diet. Step 2, very important. I find that there are typically two types of athletes, those that completely stay away from the step 2, all the carbohydrates, and those that maybe eat too much of them. So you want to find that balance. So step 2, about 1 or 2 fistfuls of carbohydrates, depending on what your goals are, whether it be weight maintenance, gain, or loss, and you still want to get those carbohydrates. So the emphasis is on all those fiber-rich starches, like the whole grains, like whole wheat bread, brown rice, whole wheat pasta, and then fiber-rich fruits. Mostly fresh fruit. Dry fruit's okay. Fruit juice, I wouldn't have more than a cup a day of that. So the roles of these foods is that they're the primary fuel source for our bodies and brain. There was actually a study done by those people that were following the Atkins diet, and the Atkins diet is very low carbohydrate, if any carbohydrate. And they found that those that were on the Atkins diet had similar symptoms as those with dementia. Because if you're not giving your brain the carbohydrates to help you think, and you're not going to be thinking clearly, you're going to be very forgetful. So carbohydrates are very important. We also need these carbohydrates to burn body fat too. So people think that by eating the carbohydrates, we're going to gain weight. If you eat too much of anything, you're going to gain weight. But you want to get the right amount of carbohydrates because that actually helps your body burn body fat. Did you have a question?
Yeah, so it says that you should have fruits with your meals, right? So I read some blogs on the internet which said that fruit should not be had with your meals and they should be had like maybe just on your breakfast and nothing after that. And when you consume fruit, you should not have any carbohydrates or maybe just fats with it. So can I have some clarification on that?
And what was like the research behind that, or what was like, where'd you?
I mean, I couldn't really. There were some people who claimed to do some research on it, which said that when you eat fruits with your carbohydrates, so the simple sugars and the carbohydrates tend to get digested much faster, and the complex sugars in the fruits do not. Okay. So since the later does not get digested first, so it ferments in the stomach. So that's what it said.
Right.
I'm not too sure on how that really happens. So.
Sure. Interesting. I always encourage eating just balanced meals and balanced snacks. So like to make a meal balanced, you want to get each one of these steps in. Like always like protein with carbohydrate because that helps maintain blood sugar levels, keeps metabolism elevated. So kind of like going for that balance. As far as fruit, I mean it can fit as part of a meal, but you don't want to like overdo like too many carbohydrates then. So you want to just like eat that balanced meal. I think fruits are great for a snack too, but have it with some protein, like an apple and peanut butter. But as far as like not like having fruit, like say if you're craving like an apple with your lunch, I mean have an apple then. I mean I don't think it's going to cause any problems, to you. Yeah.
So whole grains and starchy veggies are fuel source for the brain. Mm-hmm. What about non-starchy veggies? Are they also fuel source for the brain?
They are. I mean, non-starchy veggies they're still carbohydrate, but they're they're 2/3 less carbohydrates than the starchy vegetables. So we mostly would have maybe like 1 or 2 fistfuls of vegetables at lunch and dinner. I don't really like count them towards calories really because there are lots of fiber, vitamins, minerals, and good stuff for you. But looking at like more like higher carbohydrate foods would be your step 2. So all your whole grain and starchy vegetables. And then you want to increase these on active and practice days to help top your energy reserves. And then the thing about carbohydrates too is if you have a lot of muscle mass on your body, you use those carbohydrates initially for energy, and then whatever your body doesn't need at that moment then gets stored in your muscle tissue for energy use later on. So being athletes, very active people, I'm sure you all have a lot of muscle mass on you, so you can have some extra carbohydrates. And then limit those quick carbohydrates, so those that are like sweets, desserts, things of those sorts, on days when you're not as active, because these can be easily turned to fat if they're not burned off. But again, there is no good or bad food. I mean, if you want like a ice cream or like a cookie or a piece of cake and you have it, it can fit as part of a balanced eating plan. And then protein. I mean, protein, kind of similar to carbohydrates. I've got some athletes that tend to overindulge in protein, and then those that totally like skimp out on it. My brother played football in college, and I know when he came home for the summer, he was trying to gain weight. And so we're sitting at dinner one night, and like on his plate, he's got like a chicken breast, some ribs, and a piece of steak. And it's like all protein, like no vegetables, no carbohydrates or anything. And I don't dare say anything to him because I'm his sister and I don't know anything, right? So I don't say anything to him. But then, next season he came back to me and asked me for more like nutrition recommendations. It was great. So, but protein, too much protein isn't good for us. So we want about the size of our open palm and the thickness of a deck of playing cards. So for guys, about 4 to 6 ounces. For females, about 3 to 4 ounces is what we need. Typically for protein, our bodies can really only absorb or digest about 30 grams at a given time. Men about like 30 to 40, maybe women about 20 to 30. So if you have, you go out for dinner and like a steak is how many ounces? Yeah, so take 12 times 7, and how much protein is that? It's like over like, about 80 grams of protein, and that one like steak is too much. So when you think of protein, go for a variety. So all these different types of protein sources are great. So animal proteins like meat, fish, chicken, turkey, dairy, like milk, yogurt, and cheese. And then plant sources are also very good, like lentils, beans, peanut butter, all those are good too. Proteins range from lean to high fat. About 80% of the protein that you consume should be from the leaner cuts. The higher fat, maybe about 20% of the protein that you consume. So lean proteins would be like chicken, turkey without the skin, all types of fish and seafood are very lean. Steak is actually very lean, like sirloin, flank steak, very lean. Beans are obviously lean, lentils are lean as well. The higher fat ones would be all like more processed types of proteins, like bologna, salami. You want to limit that if you can. And then choosing higher fat protein sources only on very active days, and then back off when you're resting, especially if you're taking 1 or 2 days off. So on those days, focusing more on the leaner proteins. And so these are just a good variety of different lean protein sources. So if you like ground beef or ground turkey, go for at least 85 to 95% lean. 90 to 95 is even better if you can. Beans are great, skinless grilled, baked, roasted chicken or turkey breast is also good. All seafood is great. Steaming, that should be boiling or broiling, baked or grilled, all very lean cooking methods. Low fat, high cheese, 2% cheese. Tuna fish is great, make sure it's canned in water. And then trim the extra fat on your steak, pork chop, you don't want to eat fat, it's mostly saturated fat. Nuts or seeds are also great, eggs or egg beaters, low fat yogurt, turkey bacon or sausage, turkey sausage are all very lean sources. And again, going for that variety of protein sources. Are you all good about the variety of protein sources in here? Okay, very good. No? Okay. What's your typical protein of choice?
Bacon and eggs.
Okay.
Sometimes cheeseburgers.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a fan of chicken because it tastes like cardboard. Sometimes I'll get fish.
Okay.
But mostly just bacon and eggs every day.
Okay.
Mine's mostly chicken just because it's cheap.
Okay, sure. Chicken,
Chicken
sure.
breast, chicken
It
breast.
is less expensive, right? Well, even like peanut butter, you like, or dairy products, yogurt, cheese.
Cheese
Okay.
on my eggs and bacon.
Okay.
So for vegetarians who are planning on building some muscle, is it okay to just have lentils and eggs? Is that sufficient, or like do we really need, I mean, as a vegetarian, do I need to go for meats to do that?
Sure. If you're a vegetarian, your protein needs, especially if you're vegan where you don't have any animal sources whatsoever, your protein needs are actually higher because the diet then, there's certain nutrients that prohibit your body from absorbing the protein then. So your protein needs are actually higher then. About, I would say it's about 1 gram per pound of body weight is what you would need approximately for to get in enough protein, approximately.
So for a vegetarian, so like would it be like the question was that is it okay to just be on lentils and eggs if you want to build muscle?
It really depends upon your overall quality of diet and making sure that you're getting enough protein from those sources.
Okay, so it's just the quantity of protein, not really the quality in that aspect, right?
It's both actually. Yeah.
Okay.
But you still can gain muscle mass on like if you eat eggs and you said lentils. You said? Okay.
Would that be considered a complete protein?
I'm sorry?
Would that be considered a complete protein, like all the amino acids required?
Right, so that another reason why eating a balanced diet is so important, because it's not so much what you're eating at that one given meal, but what you're eating throughout that entire day. So like lentils, for example, to make that a complete protein, you want to get in some kind of grain, like rice or pasta to make it more complete. As long as you eat a very balanced diet throughout the day, you're probably getting in complementary proteins or complete proteins then too.
Thank you.
Yep.
This might be a really stupid question, but is there an advantage to, say, eating like a chicken tenderloin versus a chicken breast, or vice versa?
Like any like benefits?
Let's say like is a chicken tenderloin better for you, or like
a different cut of
yeah.
Well, anything with loin in it is very lean, and chicken breast is also very lean. So they're both pretty lean sources.
So there's not much of a difference.
Whatever's cheaper.
No. What's cheaper?
Whatever's cheaper.
Yeah, right.
For the breast.
That's true, right? I don't know.
Loins are easier to prepare.
And so as far as the importance of protein, we need protein in order to build and maintain muscle tissue. It also helps strengthen your immune system. So if you're getting sick a lot, maybe you're not getting enough protein in your diet. Also helps optimize your energy levels. So whenever you're having a meal or snack, always going for that combination of protein and carbohydrates. And if you're looking to gain muscle mass, yes, you need to get that protein in your diet, but it's only going to work if you're getting an adequate amount of calories, especially extra carbohydrates, and then also strength training to help build that muscle tissue. And so what should what should your plate look like? So if you're looking to maybe gain weight, or if you have a hard training day, you want to have half your plate to be all your step 2 food sources. So carbohydrates, starches, grains, fruit could even fit in that category. About a quarter of your plate would be protein, so about your palm size again for protein, and then about a fistful of vegetables. If you are trying to, just maybe you want to maintain your weight, then dividing your plate into thirds. So a third grain, about a third protein, about your palm size of protein, and then 1 to 2 fistfuls of vegetables. And then if you're trying to lose weight, or maybe you have a light training day that day, half of your plate, mostly vegetables, and then about a quarter step 2 carbohydrates, and then about a palm size again of protein. So protein portions don't really change if you're trying to maintain your weight gain or lose weight. Your carbohydrates will change though. Step 2 will change. And so when you're thinking about exercising, and if you want to really optimize your performance, you want to think about what you should feel before, during, and after you exercise or train. So 2 goals. One is to consume enough calories in to match your calories out. Same thing with fluid. So you want to take in enough fluid to match with the sweat loss. Because if you don't consume enough calories or energy, carbohydrates, and fluids, what's going to happen to you? You're going to get tired because your glycogen stores are depleted. You're probably going to lose weight, and that's not always good because you're probably going to lose muscle mass, and you don't want to lose muscle mass. And then your performance will also decrease, and you'll also increase your risk of illness and injury. So those are really important, getting adequate calories, especially carbohydrates and fluids too. Refueling. Are you all really good about refueling after you work out? No. Yes, very good. You're good too? Okay. What are some things that you eat or drink for refueling after your workouts? Doritos, fantastic. If there's a time to refuel, that's okay. Get some protein in with that.
Breads and eggs.
Yeah.
Let's say high glycemic carbohydrates.
Okay, like what's an example?
Like some sort of fast digesting, like a sugar, basically.
Okay. Like gummy bears or?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Okay.
Whole wheat bread and fried eggs.
Okay, sure, it's good. Very good.
I try to eat like a piece of meat and just as much starch as I can fit in my stomach.
Okay. Very good. What kind of starch is it? Pasta?
Mashed potatoes,
Okay.
pasta, rice, beans, whatever,
Okay.
whatever's closest.
Okay, good. So a good mix of carbs and protein, very key. So the purpose of refueling is you want to replace those carbohydrates that we use for energy and build stores for your next workout. Because if you don't consume enough post-workout, you're just setting up yourself for your next workout, especially if you exercise every day. You're not going to have as much energy for your next workout. You're not going to perform at your best. You might get sick and injured then as well. You also want to provide enough protein to aid in muscle repair and to help prevent muscle breakdown. And then this is also the first step in recovery for your next workout. So it's so important. Now if you work out maybe like 3 times a week, the post-workout meal isn't really that important for you. So it's not too bad. But if you exercise every single day or twice a day, you really want to get that post-workout meal in. The timing is also very important. The goal is within 30 minutes. There's some research out there that doesn't really state that we need to eat like as quickly as it's stating up here. As long as you're eating balanced meals throughout the day, so carbohydrate, protein mix throughout the day, about 3 to 6, 7 times a day.
Would there be a disadvantage of, say you're doing strength training, and so you're not worried about gastric distress, would there be an advantage to consuming enough carbs and proteins either right at the beginning of your workout or right before so that it's basically starts digesting the second you're done?
exactly works for you.
Okay.
I know for some people, like if you work out first thing in the morning, some people don't like to have like a big meal or snack before they work out. So it just depends whatever works for you. But as long as you're eating, throughout the day, every 2.5 to 3 hours, getting a good mix of carbs and protein, that should be, good for you. It's all very individualized, all of this. And so that, as far as that timing, especially with carbohydrates, if you think of your muscles as being similar to a wet sponge, so if you wait longer than that 30 minutes, that sponge is going to dry out, or your muscles are going to dry out, making it more difficult for those carbohydrates to get back into your muscles then. So maybe that's why that 30-minute window is actually pretty good for you if you're exercising like every single day. It's very important. And you can try it. I have a colleague of mine, I remember going to one of his presentations, I'm trying to blank on his name, but he tried like a high carbohydrate diet, a low carbohydrate diet, just so he could see like what it felt like. And so if you want to try it and see how you feel on it, you can try it. Because we're all different, right? So what works for somebody might not work for somebody else. And as far as refueling, what you should eat or drink, so water, very important. About 3 cups of fluid plus an additional 2 cups per pound of weight loss. Anybody weigh themselves before and after they work out in here? Okay. How much weight do you lose typically?
Depending on how long and what I'm wearing, anywhere from half a pound to 3 to 4 pounds.
Okay, which is a lot then. Sure, right. Yeah. So to help prevent that weight loss, then you could do like you could try to figure out whatever your sweat loss is or sweat rate is.
In wrestling, you're not trying to prevent it; you're trying to promote that
Which is
weight loss.
crazy. So crazy. Hopefully it's gotten better though. But I've heard some horror stories. Yeah. Oh.
They're just more creative.
Oh yeah. It's dangerous though. Yep.
So the protein is 15 to 25 grams. Can you get it from protein shakes?
Sure, that's great to do. Definitely. Like 1 scoop of protein powder, typically about 20 grams of protein. Definitely. And it's in that powder form, so it's easier to digest. So that's great. Definitely. And then carbohydrates, roughly approximately about 50 to 100 grams of carbohydrate is what you want to consume post-workout. And then protein, about 15 to 25 grams, which is about 2 to 3 ounces of chicken. That's all. So some recommended food combinations of what that would look like would be about 2 cups of low-fat chocolate milk and a banana. Anybody like low-fat chocolate milk post-workout in here? Okay. Some of you, great. So it's a really good mix of carbohydrates and protein. And the protein in low-fat chocolate milk, it's casein and whey. So whey is fast-acting and casein is slow-acting. So it's a good combination. A peanut butter and jelly sandwich, 2 cups of like a Gatorade or Powerade is also good. A bagel with cheese or low-fat yogurt and some granola would also be a good mix of carbs and protein.
I have a question about the first option. So since a banana would be fructose, can fructose be stored as muscle glycogen, or is that process a little different since it's not the same as glucose? Or
everything breaks down into glucose. Like all sugars break down into glucose, which is the simplest form for our bodies to absorb it then.
okay.
Yeah, so all kinds of fruit, when they break it down, it's glucose. And we need that glucose in order to use it for energy. Yeah, so yes. Yep.
We have a question over here too.
Oh, yep.
It said there that recommended protein was 15 to 25 grams, but earlier you mentioned that with males, men could take in up to 30 to 40 grams at one time. Would you still only want to stick to that 15 to 25?
And that really depends. I mean, the 15 to 25 is like a rough estimate, like post-workout. That's what you want to shoot for. But if you get in more protein than that, say if you don't want to snack, you want a meal and have more protein, but then make sure that you're getting in more carbohydrates then too. To keep that ratio like a 2 to 1, 3 to 1 ratio of carbs to protein.
Would somebody with more lean muscle mass, would they be able to absorb more protein than, say, someone that doesn't?
Not so much so.
It's pretty much the same.
If you have more lean muscle mass, can you absorb more?
Yeah, protein.
No, I don't know about that. I don't think so. And it's all like a very rough estimate. So men, like approximately 30 to 40 grams that you can absorb. I had one player, a really nice guy, actually with the Cardinals. a veteran. He's retired now. But here's a veteran who like is a phenomenal athlete, didn't know that much about nutrition. And so when he was done working out, he would eat a protein shake, and the protein shake had about 60 grams of protein in it, and he's a big guy, like about 300 pounds. After that, he then ate lunch, and his lunch was like, more protein, some vegetables, some carbohydrates, or too much protein at a given time is not beneficial for us. But your question as far as if you can absorb more protein.
Yeah, like a big bodybuilder versus like
Sure.
a cross-country runner.
Right.
Wouldn't the one with more muscle be to utilize that protein more?
Right. Possibly maybe like a little bit more, but not so much focusing on just the protein, but like what they're eating at that given meal. So getting in a good mix of carbohydrates with protein, and then eating that throughout the day. Like focusing on like getting good balanced meals throughout the day.
Does it also depend on kind of the effectiveness of your blood insulin? So like if I have a really good pancreas and like really good insulin, I can pump out a lot of it. I can probably have more protein uptake into the cells via like a carbohydrate stimulus than somebody who maybe doesn't have the best pancreas and isn't making the best insulin and has the same amount of protein. So wouldn't I be able to kind of have that higher end of protein intake, at least during one meal?
Right. Well, I mean, in terms of like with the insulin and pancreas, I mean, just getting in that like good mix of the carbohydrate with protein is very important, because what that carbohydrate will do will help slow the breakdown of that protein into, or slow the whole breakdown of that of your body's way of digesting that meal. So going for that mix. But your question again, by having like if you can have like more protein, if your body's more efficient at breaking it down.
Yeah, if I have like better blood sugar basically, or better insulin action, can I have more protein in one sitting than somebody who could not, because I cannot take it and I'm not
Carbohydrates too. I mean, I'm sorry. When you talk about protein, like how much protein would you be talking about?
upwards like 50. I'm saying on the top end, but that being with like a high amount and enough carbohydrate. I'm mostly trying to kind of see what the benefit of a high meal for somebody who has the metabolic capacity for that.
And just keep in mind too that protein needs, like the maximum amount of protein that our bodies can actually use every day is 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if you go over that, that's just expensive fuel. So you're missing out on getting all those carbohydrates and fats too.
So if I'm somebody who's 160 pounds and I'm eating only 4 meals a day, even 3 meals a day, I would have to have 50 grams of protein, 50 plus grams of protein per meal.
Right.
But then I'm not able to digest it.
Your body won't be able to, if you're having more than that then, like more than 160 grams per day, that's just expensive fuel then for your body then.
But on a meal by meal basis, to get my 160, I would get like, if I were to stay within the 25 gram range, I would need, I'm not the best at math here, but like 6 meals a day to get my protein intake.
You could, this is just like a rough estimate, like post-workout. But if you only have 3 meals a day or 4 meals a day, and you take your maximum amount of protein needs for, which is like 160, divide that into 3 or 4 and like spread that evenly throughout the day, it's fine then. It's just like a rough estimate showing you like a post-workout meal or like snack or whatever. This is like the minimum that you would need post-workout then, approximately. Yeah.
So can I make a comment?
Sure.
Because that question was really a good question. If you've got more muscle mass, can you take more protein? And I think the way to think about this is you have to digest it, break it down, absorb it, and get it to the cell. That's what it's a function of. And so that's really a profile of the enzymes in your digestive system that makes the difference. And so the way I've explained this to students in the past is like, even if somebody, you can consume a little bit of milk, and you can consume a little bit of cheese. And over time, that's going to increase the concentration of that lactase enzyme in your system, and you're going to get better at breaking that stuff down. Your body's going to learn how to do that. And so if you're habitually on a high protein diet, you have a better set of enzymes to deal with that protein that's coming in. So for a big guy, this 15 to 25 grams of protein, if he habitually consumes a protein-rich diet, the enzymes in his digestive system are going to upregulate to be able to handle that, because that's what he's going to need. There's got to be a way to absorb that. So I always think about it from a gut chemistry perspective.
Right. Oh yeah. there's so much like interesting research too about the gut microbiome. It's very interesting. And making sure that your body can like break down all those foods too. Because I mean, over time, have our guts really changed? Do you think, or just the food supply has changed too?
I think that if you had gone to the Building Healthy Lifestyles conference this past weekend, or especially the one that we had last year,
That was interesting.
They would very much respond by saying that this obesogenic diet has changed our gut biome as a result of that. We're kind of fighting ourselves and fighting our own biology. But I just think that it's important to understand how complex this whole process is. People have, you see it posted on the internet all the time. They say, well, there's a formula to how many grams of protein you should consume after each workout or after each, in conjunction with each meal. And the reality is that the body can only sort of process a limited amount at a time. And so you're better off with something like a cottage cheese where there's a whey in case you mix and the body can absorb those amino acids at a more moderated level. So it's a complex process as opposed to just, I'm going to get a workout in, I'm going to drink my muscle milk, and results will follow.
Yeah.
It's a little more complicated.
Trial and error, experiment. But that's why it's so important too to also eat a varied diet too, like mixing things up. Okay, so hydration. So if you are dehydrated, that can drastically affect your sports performance by 25%. So our daily goal for fluid, like I said earlier, is about